morning and welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from Bar Harbor, Maine. Today's verse is 1 John 3:15. Everyone who hates his brother is a murderer, and you know that no murderer has eternal life abiding in him. Well, this is a very hard-hitting verse. Everyone who hates his brother is a murderer. In God's economy, murder and hatred are equal. Now, before I get too far into this, let me make sure that this point is clear, that this verse is not saying that a murderer can't be saved, can't be forgiven. Same with someone who hates, that they can't be forgiven and saved. This verse is here just to show that if we still have hatred in our hearts, we haven't made that cross yet from life, or from death to life, from hatred to love. And it's a self-test for us to do. It reminds us of a verse I covered a couple of months ago, 1 John 2:9. I have the link up here. The one who says he is in the light and yet hates his brother is in the darkness until now. And that until now indicates that there's still a chance that they can confess and become saved and get out of hatred into love, out of death into life. Again, back to our main verse, I feel that once we have ceded everything to the Spirit, He's in the driver's seat, He's in control of our lives, we won't be hating. In fact, we can't hate if the Spirit is directing all of our actions. Okay, so if we do have hate, it indicates that we haven't made the cross yet. We have to get to the cross to make that cross across the chasm. There we go. Now let's look at a very famous verse here in the Sermon on the Mount. Matthew 5:21 and 22. I covered that a long time ago up here. You have heard that the ancients were told, you shall not commit murder, and whoever commits murder shall be liable to the court. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother shall be guilty before the court, and whoever says to his brother, you good for nothing, shall be guilty before the Supreme Court. And whoever says, you fool, shall be guilty enough to go to the fiery hell. Now, there are some Christians who will say, well, I'm angry, but my anger is justified. I have a right to be angry. My friends, be very careful about that, because that can really teeter on the edge of inappropriateness. We are not to take justice or take vengeance. Justice belongs to God. We are to love, and the Spirit will help us do that. But the Spirit doesn't help us to take vengeance. That's His role and His alone. We have to leave that alone. Also, I've heard some people say, well, I'm trying to love him, but God hasn't given me a love like that. Are you kidding me? Then you're not a Christian. God will give you a love because He is the source of love. If He's in you, you will have no choice but to love. Or how about this one? I've heard some Christians say, well, okay, I love that brother, but I don't like him. Well, does that sound like love to you? I know if someone told me I love you, but I don't like you, I wouldn't feel very loved. Finally, notice that in verse 22 that we just read, it talks about name calling. Name calling is not loving. It should not be a part of a Christian's vocabulary. But I have friends who call themselves Christians, who call politicians names, who call the president names, other people names. That is not loving and should not be a part of our love life. Now, one last one. Going again in the Sermon on the Mount, let's look a little further in Matthew 5, verse 43. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy, but I say to you, love your enemies. That's how much love should be coursing through us. I don't have that kind of love within me. I'm just a wretch. I'm a human. But God can provide that if I allow Him. So let's choose to love every moment, because then we're going to love every moment. I'm your average wretch, and I hope you have a great week.